You can't be serious, right? So the Eagles just lost their third straight game, this one to the Seahawks and backup quarterback Drew Lock, and there were just so many problems, starting with Jalen Hurts, who may have actually cost the Eagles the game with a few crucial mistakes. Meanwhile, the defense did look a bit better under the leadership of Matt Patricia, but what caused them to collapse at the end? Also, did AJ Brown kind of take a subtle shot at the coaching staff after the game, and did Nick Sirianni hint that the Eagles may make some more big changes to try and right the ship? Plus, Jalen Hurts questioned the commitment level of the team after the embarrassing loss. So let's talk about that and everything else that came from an inexcusable Week 15 for the Birds. And we won't waste any time, let's get straight into it. So headed into this game, the Eagles had already had a pretty good weekend, with first off Dallas getting blown out by Buffalo and putting the Eagles back in the lead in the NFC East and at the 2 seed in the NFC, but more importantly, with some of the other Sunday game results, the Eagles were able to officially clinch a playoff spot, which is obviously huge, but still, that didn't take away from the importance of this game, because with a win, the Eagles would then firmly be in control of the NFC East and would still have a shot at the number 1 seed. Now, leading into the game, the Eagles got a few more pieces of good news. The first one, I guess not actually being good news, but still something that undoubtedly did help the Eagles, was that Seahawks starting quarterback Geno Smith would be out with his groin injury. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts would be available to play despite dealing with an illness that had worsened over the weekend, and with him showing up in all Jordan gear, many people had speculated that Hurts was getting ready to have his own version of the flu game. And while Hurts prepared for what he hoped to be a great bounce-back performance, Eagles senior defensive assistant Matt Patricia was preparing to hopefully lead the Eagles defense in a bounce-back effort in his debut as the play caller, as of course just the day before the game, we got word that defensive coordinator Sean Desai had essentially been demoted, and it would now be Matt Patricia calling the plays for the defense, which I was a fan of because I do think we needed a change up when it came to play calling, and I really didn't see how the defense could have got worse from where it was with Desai calling the plays, so I thought Patricia then calling them was a nice switch up. But this was kind of a surprise move. It happened quietly during the week, and nobody in the Eagles organization had actually gotten the chance to speak on it or explain why the move was made. But after the game, Nick Sirianni finally got that chance, and he also revealed more of the specifics of the change.
Yeah, I made the decision. I did what I thought I needed to do in the best interest of the football team. I didn't feel like, we made some adjustments there. I didn't feel like we were playing well enough and coaching well enough on defense, so I made an adjustment, and it was my decision, and that's what I did. It was a tough decision to be able to do this, but again, like I said, I did what I felt like was best for our football team. We're always making adjustments, and that's what I did.
Who makes the final says on defense?
Coach Patricia.
So it sounds like even though I guess he technically doesn't have the title of defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, being that he has all the final says in the defense and is the play caller, is the de facto DC for the rest of the year. Now, Patricia's defense didn't take the field until after the Birds' offense in this game, and they started hot, with Jalen Hurts starting off the game with a 13-yard run, then later Hurts hit Dallas Goedert for 18 yards on a 3rd and 9, and things really started rolling from there, with Hurts and the Eagles' running game moving the offense straight down the field on what was a really long drive that saw the Birds convert 4 third downs, and this great opening drive ended in a Jalen Hurts score as he ran it in from 3 yards out, giving the Eagles the early lead on what was a really fast start, which that's something that the Eagles have struggled with recently, so at least drop a like down below for this drive, which probably was the best thing that the Eagles did all game. Then Seattle got the ball, and Matt Patricia's defense was actually able to hold, forcing a 3 and out with Roby making a tackle on DK Metcalf short of the line to gain, and after the game, Roby himself commented on what was different about the way that Matt Patricia was calling plays as opposed to Sean Desai.
We probably played up a little more, played a little tighter coverage. We emphasized just challenging receivers and making them earn it. So I think, and we blitzed some. I'm not sure how much we blitzed more or anything like that, but the biggest difference is just challenging and just being aggressive.
So I would definitely have to agree with Roby. I mean, to me, it looked like the guys on defense were pressing up more and being a little bit more aggressive, and I think it paid off at times. So overall, I do like that change in the play caller position. And that change to the strategy, as well as just the rest of the way that the defense was playing, really paid off in the first half, as the Eagles forced a punt on the next Seahawks possession, and then the Eagles offense went down and got a field goal on the possession after that, making it 10-0, and then for the rest of the half, the defense held the Seahawks to just 3 points, and they were able to get a stop in the red zone with a timely blitz by Matt Patricia and a nice tackle by Reed Blankenship. So overall, in the first half, the Eagles defense did have a really nice performance. But I do want to revisit that field goal drive by the Eagles offense, because that was potentially a huge moment of the game that really changed things for the worse for the Eagles. Because on that drive, the Eagles were moving. You had some big gains to AJ Brown, you had some nice runs by DeAndre Swift, you had a nice 4th down conversion to Julio Jones of all people, but the Eagles offense eventually stalled out deep deep into the red zone, in large part because of a crucial error by a future Hall of Famer. As on a 3rd and 1 where the Eagles were almost certainly about to run the shove, Jason Kelce was called for a false start where he moved the ball forward, and that pushed the Eagles back 5 yards. They didn't convert the 3rd and 6 that they were then put in because of that false start, and they were forced to kick a field goal. So with that mistake, the Eagles then just had a 10-0 lead rather than a 14-0 lead, and a 10-3 lead at half rather than a 14-3 lead, which in my mind, it's definitely a different game if they have a 14-3 lead going into the locker room rather than a 10-3 lead, because that's the difference between a 1-score game and a 2-score game. Now, after the game was over, Kelce took full accountability for the mistake, and he also explained what happened on that play.
They've been warning me that for years. I think, when you're trying to get a forward lean and really do that, I think I've had a tendency to do that in the past, so they've definitely warned me before. I think that it's got to be smarter, especially in that situation. I think, if that's a full yard to gain, probably not as much, but I think because it was so short, the fact that I moved it forward at all was going to get called, and just got to be smarter than that.
Now, I like hearing Kelce take accountability, but at the end of the day, he just has to be better. I mean, we've seen him now make these costly mistakes a lot these past few weeks, and this one hurt big time. Of course, we love Kelce, of course he's a future Hall of Famer, and he's my favorite player of all time, but he just can't do stuff like this. And again, this mistake cost the Eagles a touchdown most likely, and they weren't able to score for the rest of the first half, including stalling out twice in the final 2 minutes, which showed off another one of the Eagles' big flaws in this game, which was their 2-minute offense, as they just couldn't get anything going at all in these crucial points of the game, and Nick Sirianni actually spoke about that after the game.
Not our standard to be able to put points on the board. Again, I thought a couple times tonight we had an opportunity to go up 2 scores and with the defense playing well, and we didn't. Again, the 2-minute offense we got to fix. We got to get better at. I felt like we had some things rolling earlier on in the year, and you pride yourself in that. That's why you save your timeouts. That's why you do all those things, so you get the ball an opportunity to do those things at the end of halves. And we just weren't good enough there. And again, it starts with me of putting them in positions to succeed. And we'll look at our scheme and see what we need to do differently.
So again, just like Kelce, it's nice to hear Sirianni take accountability there, but it just feels like it's always something with this offense. I mean, whether it be the 2-minute drill or turnovers or the red zone or 3rd down or play calling, something's always wrong. And I think I'm at the point where I'm just done waiting for that to change. And these crucial mistakes by the offense really came back to bite them at the start of the second half. So don't worry, we're going to talk about that and a bunch more in just a second here, but real quick, I want to say, if you're enjoying this video or finding it informative in any way, and you're part of the 75% of people that haven't done so already, make sure you go down right now, subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss any more Eagles updates just like this. I think that's a winner for the both of us. I mean, I get more people watching the videos, and you don't miss any other Eagles coverage just like this. And also, while you're at it, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you drop a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. And now with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So the Eagles had only built just a 7-point lead in the first half, so to start the second half, Drew Lock and the Seahawks just needed 1 touchdown to tie the game up, and he led a nice drive all the way down the field for the Seahawks, where the main guy was really Kenneth Walker, with the Eagles' run defense struggling yet again after their hot start to the year, and there were some missed tackles on this drive that eventually led to a 23-yard touchdown run by Kenneth Walker that tied the game up at 10. Now luckily, the Eagles were able to answer, with Jalen Hurts leading a long 12-play drive to get into the red zone, and then of course, once they got to the 1, the Birds ran the brotherly shove, and Hurts got in for the touchdown, so the Eagles regained the lead 17-10, in what was a great answer for Jalen Hurts in the offense that saw multiple guys making plays. The defense then built momentum, getting a stop with a Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham sack, but the offense once again just couldn't capitalize and go up 2 scores, so the Seahawks then got the ball back, and by ways of the run game, they got all the way down the field, but they were stopped on a 3rd down in the red zone, with Jalen Carter getting a clutch sack, so they were forced to then kick another field goal. And again, huge credit to the defense for holding up in the red zone in this game, and overall, I gotta say, the defense did a pretty good job of getting stops in this game, but there is one thing that they've struggled to do all year that they didn't do in this game, and that is force turnovers. And slot cornerback Roby actually said after the game that the defense just needs to start doing this.
I think we played a good game. I wouldn't say great, but I think we played a good game. We got to get the ball somehow. We didn't get any turnovers. The only thing we need to work on is just get turnovers for the offense and get them more chances to score. Because if you don't get any turnovers and the offense doesn't score here or there, then you automatically make it a close game. So we just got to get the ball.
I mean, like Roby said, they just gotta find a way to get the ball because it'll really help the team in the end. Because it's just gonna give the offense more chances to score, and more likely it'll give them shorter fields and easier chances to score. And that was a big part of the Eagles' dominance last year, but this year they just haven't really done it. So I don't know how they can fix this problem, but they gotta find a way to do it. Especially when the Eagles' offense seems to want to do that themselves. As on the next possession, Jalen Hurts launched this pass to Quez Watkins deep in the end zone, and it was a little bit underthrown, and Quez also kind of got interfered with a little bit, but still a bad ball from Jalen Hurts, a poor effort by Quez Watkins, and in the end, it resulted in an interception for Seahawks safety Julian Love. The Eagles' defense came up big once again though, forcing another punt and giving the ball back to the offense, where they had a chance to just run the clock out and essentially ice the game and get an ugly win. So did they do that? Of course not, as they got stopped on 3rd and 7 and they had to punt, leaving the game in the hands of the Matt Patricia-led defense. So what did they do? Well, they just simply let up a 92-yard drive with under 2 minutes left in the game, where Drew Lock led the Seahawks down the field, and I will give credit, DK Metcalf made some unbelievable plays on this drive, but still, the Eagles defense got marched all the way down the field until eventually Lock hit them with the dagger, throwing a pass on the money to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who beat James Bradberry for a 29-yard score to put the Seahawks ahead with 28 seconds to go. And this was on a drive where James Bradberry led up 4 catches altogether, including this awful game winner. Now JB did take accountability for it after the game, and he also explained that final play.
I was just playing the sticks. Who's it, man? I gotta play better. I just didn't play well today.
I guess it's at least nice to hear Bradberry say it was his fault, but at the same time, like, come on, man, we paid you in the offseason, you just gotta be better than that. And even if the play call was to play the sticks, you gotta watch the go route, because that loses you the game, James. I mean, Bradberry's definitely had a rough year, so let me know down in the comments. Do you think the Eagles should try and get rid of him after the season's over, or should they give him another chance and at least stick with him for next year? Now, with 28 seconds to go, the Eagles still had a chance. They had 3 timeouts, and they also had Jalen Hurts, who's been clutch in the past. And after a 20-yard scramble by Jalen, the Eagles were not in a terrible spot. They had to go maybe 11 to 13 yards to get into range for a long field goal from Jake Elliott, but instead of going for that, Hurts decides to launch it deep to A.J. Brown, which the Seahawks were clearly ready for, considering they had like 6 defenders on that side of the field, and it's underthrown and picked off by Julian Love yet again, which ended the game. And it's just made so much worse when you look at this image, where running back Kenneth Gainwell is wide open right here, with nobody within 20 yards of him. And there's a pretty good chance that if Hurts makes this throw, they get into field goal range and tie the game and go into overtime, or who knows, maybe Gainwell scores a touchdown on this play and the Eagles win in regulation. But instead, he throws the pick, the Eagles lose, and drop back down to 5th place in the NFC, while the Seahawks keep their playoff hopes alive. Now, after the game, Jalen Hurts spoke to the media, as he does after every game, and he was very critical of his performance.
You know, we had multiple opportunities in the game to open it up, and we didn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do my job good enough. I have to be better, minimizing the mistakes, the penalties, the mental errors. Just playing team football, and it starts with me leading that. You know, we've lost games, you know, because I could be better. You know, that'll change everything, and I accept that.
Of course, Jalen is always going to take accountability, so you love to hear that consistently, but seriously, like, what is going on with Hurts this year? I mean, he's now tied for the league lead in turnovers with 17 this season, and coming off a year where he threw just 6 interceptions and only fumbled twice, I believe. He just didn't expect this, so he's got to be better. He has to take care of the football better, and I will say, out of all the reasons that the Eagles lost this game, Jalen Hurts might be at the top of that list. But the Eagles' offensive issues go far beyond Hurts. I mean, everyone just isn't executing, and according to Jalen, everyone may not actually be all the way bought in or all the way committed. At least that's what it sounds like if you take a listen to these comments that he had after the game.
I've been talking about execution all year. Been on the same page. Everyone been on the same page, and we didn't execute. I don't think we're committed enough.
What do you mean by that, about being committed enough?
Commitment. I don't know that. I had a dictionary on me now. I don't know how else to say that.
I guess, how are you seeing that present itself?
Just, you know, it's a matter of being on the same page. It takes everyone being all in all aspects, and, you know, it starts with me.
So first off, he did say that it starts with him, so he's not blaming everybody. I think he's more so just holding everyone accountable. But if this is true, it's definitely not a good look for the Birds, and they better get all the way bought in real fast because they got only 3 games left to get this stuff fixed before it's playoff time. Now after the game, AJ Brown also spoke to the media, and he said that he has to just focus on the things that he can control, but it also kind of sounded like he took a shot at somebody, possibly the coaches, as he said, quote, "I'm disappointed, but I'm not discouraged. I know what type of football player I am, and I just have to focus on my job and getting ready to play and try to get my guys in the room ready to play. Everything else is out of our control. We run routes, we get the ball, we catch the ball, we try to make plays. Other than that, we can't control the other stuff. As much as we don't like it, there's nothing that we can do about it." So that line of "we can't control the other stuff as much as we don't like it and we can't do anything about it," that sounds to me like he could possibly be talking about the coaching staff and the positions that they're putting the players in. Now I will say that that's just speculation. He could have been talking about something else, but that's at least how it sounds to me. And apparently it sounds like that to others too. Luckily, if he is talking about the coaches, it sounds like Nick Sirianni has had enough of the struggles as well, and he could be ready to make some big changes after the loss.
Win or lose, you go through the same process every single time. We have to have the right answers as coaches to put the guys in position to succeed, and then we have to go out and execute. But it starts with us as coaches to put them in positions to succeed. And so if that means changing up some schemes, if that means changing up, like I did with the coordinators on defense, then we're going to do whatever we need to do to right this ship, because we know that we got a team that's coming in here this week. We still have our goals ahead of us. We know we clinched playoffs this week, but we're not really looking at that. But we know what we want to do. We want to be able to win this division. But that's the last time you'll hear me say that. We got to go win a game this upcoming week and make our corrections.
So he said it there. They're going to make whatever changes are needed to make in order to get these things fixed. Whether it be by switching up the scheme or coaching changes, it sounds like maybe everything could be on the table after this loss. But he also said something very crucial there at the end, which is that everything is still in front of them. They can still go out and win this division, and that's what they're going to go try and do, and it starts this week. It starts this week versus the Giants on Christmas Day, and yes, the Eagles got a lot of work to do before then. I mean, they just got a lot of work to do before the start of the playoffs in general, and let's hope they can actually figure out how to win again before we get there, because these last 3 weeks have been brutal. I don't know, man. If I had to pick one, I'd say that was probably their worst loss of the season, but that being said, what do you guys think? Give me your thoughts down below on the Eagles' loss to the Seahawks. Also, again, subscribe and turn on notifications if you did enjoy this video. If you want to watch another Eagles video, you can go check out this one right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.